What is love? What is love?
Welcome to Something Came From Baltimore. My name is Tom Gouker. Something Came From Baltimore is a jazz, blues, and R&B podcast and radio show. And it's not normally about Baltimore. It's called Kind of Free, Kind of Wow, a conversation with Laurie Greene. Laurie Greene is Associate Professor of Anthropology at Stockton University in New Jersey, where she taught since 1986. She's the founder and chair of the LGBTQ Youth Safe Space Initiative at Stockton University and is an advocate for local LGBTQ community and author of Drag Queens and Beauty Queens, Contesting Femininity in the World's Playground. You can binge. The series is found everywhere, and we are going to get into this.
There's a fragrance that's here today, and they call it Charlie. A different fragrance that thinks your way, yeah, they call it Charlie. Kinda young, kinda now, Charlie. Kinda free, kinda wild. Kinda free, kinda wild. Kinda free, kinda wild. Charlie, kind of fragrance that's gonna stay, and it's here now. Charlie.
Charlie by Revlon, a most original fragrance.
Here is Bill Maher on Real Time with Bill Maher, basically jerking off at Elon Musk.
My first guest is the man who made electric cars a thing and is currently working on perfecting reusable rockets, space travel, connecting the human brain directly to computers, connecting cities with electromagnetic bullet trains, the Starlink satellite system that's so important to the war in Ukraine. And then on Tuesday, he's going to work on that tunnel thing on traffic. He also tweets a lot. Elon Musk. Well, I'm so thrilled you're here because, you know, we do a show where we talk about what changes happen in the world, but we just talk. There's a very few people who actually make change happen. You are one of those people. Well, you're a likable guy. I love it that you have a sense of humor, because a guy as important as you who makes changes could use your powers for evil and not good. The fact that...
absolutely.
You could.
I would, of course, I would, never use them for evil. That's
no, I
crazy.
know. But the way I know that is because you have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You really do.
I aspire to.
Yeah, you like laughing. You like to be funny.
I kill me.
Let me get back to you being a genius. Because I think you're dealing with big civilizational issues and problems, and I was right on your page. I think Twitter is one of them. So are you optimistic? I read in your Rolling Stone article back in the day that you said you can never be happy unless you're in love. I think you're right about almost everything. I mean...
What is love? I think I know what love is.
Let me answer a question. So, anthropology, is a lot of the data that you're creating, is that used for policies in the future, and what's the connection to like sociology, where that's also like a study of people too, and people norms, right?
Yeah, I mean, anthropology and sociology are often, I know in my university at Stockton, we're housed in a joint program, and there is a lot of crossover, especially nowadays. It used to be that sociologists really studied Western cities, like Western societies, in particular urban environments. And anthropologists sort of studied other cultures that were not Western. That is not true anymore. But the focus of sociology are institutions. So sociology focuses on the study of institutions that make up society. And they tend to rely much more heavily on quantitative data, statistics, numbers, surveys. Although that is also changing now. Anthropologists, the focus of study is culture, rather than society. It's a way of thinking. It's a shared values, beliefs, and ideas. It's a much larger, society's part of culture, right? And so are the institutions within it. And obviously anthropology studies all aspects of human beings, not just their social nature, right? It studies their physical nature and their psychological nature and their, everything, everything, their evolution, their language, but I think what separates anthropology traditionally from sociology is that anthropologists use qualitative data, meaning we don't traditionally look at numbers. Instead, we do what's called ethnography. And an ethnography is when you go and you immerse yourself within the context of the people you're studying and their culture. And you both participate and observe. You participate as is allowed because of who you are. It's different cultures you study. You can participate in much more fully than others. But you participate and you also observe, and through that participation, observation, and asking questions of the people that live in it, and using what they say as data along with what you observe. So the people's story is important. And ethnography is written as a narrative. So what I feel like I do is I write creative nonfiction, because I might make a composite of people because I need to protect their anonymity a lot of times. Or I might tell a story as if it happened to one person when it happened to a number of people, at different times. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it, when you read it as the reader, that you feel like you're actually in there experiencing the culture with me. So that's why I call it creative nonfiction. We have to create story arcs, just like a fiction writer. We have to describe characters, and make them compelling and make their words meaningful so that we understand what's going on. We have to present a different worldview and a different perspective than we have. And that, again, my job is to write in a way that the people that I'm studying, it's their voice you hear. Yes. So I amplify the voices of the people that hopefully, if I do a good job, that I write about. So I don't know if you read the Drag Queens book, but, that book is a great example of what separates other writing from ethnography. Because most of my data is, from what the queens themselves told me, and I take that as their truth. It is just as good as anybody else's truth. I'm not a reporter. People ask me all the time, oh, well, so whose fault is it that New York Avenue went under? And I said, that's not my job. I'm not a reporter. I'm not looking for the truth. I'm recording a number of different truths that people have. And you can decide what the truth is, but that's not my job. It's not to find out who's right. My job is to present the information as best I can, because there's never, usually one truth, and so that's the kind of, you feel when people say to me stuff like, oh my God, I felt like I was sitting there at the dinner table with them. That's like the best compliment I can get as an ethnographer, that's what I mean to do when I write.
Do you ever look back at your work like from previous and say, wow, my internal bias really
God, I hate reading my work. All the time. Although, and then, in particular, the Drag Queens book, I'm really proud of. I think it's a good book. I have other feelings about some of my other work, where I look back and I'm like, oh God, if I could write that again. and you can't do that to yourself. Nobody likes what they've written. Really, reading it can be painful. I don't like doing reading sometimes because I have to read my work, like at a bookstore or something. I'm like, oh God, but I mean, I feel like, as I get older, my work's getting better, and that's a good thing. I feel like the yoga book I just wrote is also with that Edward Clark, co-author, I also think is some of my best work. So hopefully I'm learning, but there's nothing as exciting to me as doing the work of ethnography. To me, it's more fun to actually do the work of it and collect the information and learn than it is to write it up. The writing part could be onerous, and you have to be careful because you have to protect people that you study. Like, my ethical responsibility is first and foremost to the people that I'm studying. So I can't do or say anything, unlike a reporter, I can't do or say anything that might injure somebody intentionally. So I have to that's why I create composites, or, I sometimes have a good story and I don't tell it because I know it could injure somebody, and that is not, I'm not a reporter. I don't do that. Right. I have to consider the well-being of my people I write about, because I know that I have a lot of power with my pen, to paint a picture of who they are. And so I'm not saying that I say nice things when they're not true. What I'm saying is sometimes I don't say things, and there's stories I don't tell. There's, I might have a certain belief in something, but I'm going to put all the people's answers down, not the one I believe, not say, oh, this is the one I think is right, when that's appropriate. And so that's a very different responsibility than, like, a reporter has a responsibility to some abstract truth, and if people get injured along the way, well, that's too bad. That's the result of it. So it's we have a lot of other restrictions, ethical restrictions on how we study and how we write up our work in the form of an ethnography.
So for Malta, I would be under the impression that someone in government made the decision that, gay people have like a higher, disposable income. That's the myth that is proposed out there, and that we want to capitalize on that, and that's the target piece, because it seems like they're in conflict with the culture that it exists already. Was it some kind of financial belief that this is a target audience that we want to get to, and kind of attract that money, I guess, that would be coming in?
Well, first of all, yes, and yes. I mean, all those things are true of Malta, as they are in any country that relies almost totally on tourism for its revenues. And they model themselves after places like Ibiza and other sort of like island tourist locations in the Mediterranean and North Africa. But they also have a political party, which is LGBTQ, and a very, very strong local nonprofit sector that advocates for LGBTQ rights, and they have made a huge amount of progress there. Why that's happened is sort of an interesting story that I don't have I don't have my fingers quite on the whole yet, because I'm still researching it, but they were able to gain quite a bit of power, this party, and they, you can get gender affirming surgery there. It's paid by the government. I mean, the laws they have are, being by far the most liberal in the world in terms of being allowed, recognizing LGBTQ rights. But that doesn't mean they don't have homophobia there. They do also have, I've seen a few articles about problems, and they have one district in Malta, in the main major city, that's like the gayborhood, basically, where all the clubs are and stuff. And they have problems there, with people getting beaten up and, other sorts of incidents happening. So it's a place in transition. But yeah, everybody wants the dollars, and mostly it's geared towards gay men, because they're the ones that tend to travel with more and also spend money with more ease, and rather than lesbians. So there's that sort of issue again. And I say again, because that's something that we see over and over again in, rainbow marketing. the appeal is to, cis white gay men who are believed to be the audience that are there to spend money. And so that the fact that they're repeating that instead of correcting it, I think is interesting. And, it leads, it's sort of a vicious cycle. I've thought about this a lot because I have, a lot of my girlfriends who are gay. They're always like, I can't believe you travel by yourself. Is that gay friendly? Is that gay friendly? And I'm like, I never even worry about that. I don't even worry about whether some place is gay friendly. I just assume it's not, I go anyway. But I know that the women, they often won't go anywhere unless it's designated as gay friendly, like a resort or a town or,
I have a friend like that. And
there's a lot more fear, surrounding what could happen to them. And it doesn't help that they're not included in the marketing, that they don't necessarily feel welcome in a place and they don't see themselves represented.
Yeah, that's definitely a stinging point of inclusion in marketing, but also, the gay friendly thing like that is just limits you on whatever you can experience. I mean, it really, I have one friend who only goes to gay bars, only goes to gay, like a weekend event or movies, and it's just all of it. And I was like, he goes, I am gay. I don't want to give my money to anyone but to gay things. And I can respect that, but it's just not me. That's, I guess, what it is. I can't relate to that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't want to give up going to those places that I know aren't very friendly. But yeah. I think, again, women are much more, the lesbians are much more wary of going to places than gay men are. I don't hear it so much, at least just anecdotally from gay men. But I don't know, I do think if you start advertising to lesbians, they'll feel like it's gay friendly and they'll go, but not advertising to them doesn't do anything to stop that sort of cycle, of the women not being as, as reliable an income source for tourism.
Well, if you look at it, the marketing was when I said, I didn't get the rule book a long time ago in our conversation. Like I just got, this is the rules that I went. All marketing was always like hot, young, sexy, 6-pack of ab, hairless, ready to party and have the best time of their life. And the marketing hasn't too veered off from that too. Just like normal, like schlubby people who would go to the event, or their faces aren't in those pictures. It's kind of weird, but that's also celebrates like a fast, like, live hard, die young kind of philosophy.
Yeah. I mean, I've butt heads with people about this in my own organization when I was in it, because I feel the same way you did about those images. I get it. Everybody wants to look at like some hot young guy's body. Who doesn't, right? But then at a certain point, it's like, enough already.
Yeah.
I mean, enough already. And by the way, we don't, it's not a draw for everybody to have a male stripper there. Like, how about every once in a while having something for the women that they want to come out for? I mean, it's, but again, I think this speaks, and I was shocked when you said that I was shocked, but I wasn't when you said that when you first came out, people were saying to you, your gay male friends, we don't like lesbians. I'm not shocked though. I mean, I'm shocked and I'm sad that that's true, but then I'm not when I see the way people, again, don't consider the women often, even consider them. They didn't even think of it to think, I guess like maybe they wouldn't think that image was something they'd want to come to. They don't even bother considering it. It's like, wow, it feels like they just don't want you to be around. That's what it feels like. They'll deny it. They'll say, oh, come on. But it really does feel like that. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're older and, older person and fat, and you probably feel like that too, if you see those images. And I don't think, I don't understand why they don't see that, because they're not going to be. I always say to people, there's always someone younger and cuter. You better watch your back. Like, I don't know why they don't see that. I mean, that they're going to be that person one day.
You can go even into the racial attitude.
Oh
about
God, yeah, absolutely.
I disc jockeyed at a bear bar here for about 2.5 years, and they would tell me that you could not play rap because if you played rap music, and it's not like super rap, like, because I'm not into that. It's like put your lighters up, or ludicrous, like fun rap that everyone knows. And they're like, don't play it because the hustlers are going to come in, and then we're going to turn into a hustler bar. But what they were really saying is, if you bring rap music in, then black people are going to show up. And then the dynamic of the bar when people walk in the door is that it's leaning towards a black audience. So to me, that was shocking, and it really made me kind of angry that I was working for this place. To fast forward it, that on Thursdays they had no business whatsoever, and I was disc jockeying that night, and that's my night. One of the nights I work, and there's a Puerto Rican bartender who worked at another a black bar too. He was there as the bartender, and we decided to play these deep, like, R&B cuts, like Denise Williams and stuff that like old head Whitney Houston, deep cuts, and it got a black audience, and they looked at me. No rap was played, and they were like, "You have to stop that. Whatever you're doing, you got to stop it right away." And I wouldn't. We
Wow.
didn't. I know, and we got the whole back room filled, and I heard that the rumor was in town, like the hot spot on a Thursday was our place, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're generating a buzz," and bang, we both got laid off and fired. So it was,
Wow.
yeah, it was like we're going in different directions. And they said they put show tunes in on Thursday and ignored the needs of the community. So experiencing it very clearly, they're not going to say, as a bar, a gay bar, if it's predominantly black, then that's going to scare off the white people. And that's what they're saying. And they want to, even though Baltimore is maybe 65% black and,
Right.
and 35% white, that instead of like dealing with the core audience of the people that live there, we're going to only cater to that 35% or the people who are willing to drive into the city. It was real. That experience is real.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. I mean, I have witnessed things like that.
Yeah. So it boils down to, when we're talking about like marketing to queer black people, that's a whole different animal. Like, they're totally not being represented, and if they are, it's now fringe. It's like, it's very quiet.
Yeah, I think about that. You remember when Honey Davenport basically quit the Monster Bar because she had made a poster for her drag show with 2 black dancers on it, like shirtless guys, and the owner said to her, "Oh, well, can you remake the poster with some good-looking people on it?" Or it was some slur that was obviously racialized. And she just went, "Yeah, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore." And came out on stage and did a whole mic drop on it, and quit. And because that kind of thing goes on all the time, I think.
Yeah. Well, I have another story. It's equally as tragic. You've been to the Venture Inn, or the Venture Inn in Philly, right?
Yes.
It's the older men's place where they serve like meals. I don't think it exists anymore. But the Venture Inn, I was a waiter there, and the waiters would see like black people come in, with their dates or whatever, and they would say, "Ugh, the ends are here," and they don't want them. They don't want them at their station, and they've already had that conversation with the maitre d' that they didn't want them, and because the line is that they don't tip. So I went up to the maitre d' and also to the owner, and I said, look, I'm hearing the word N being thrown around here. I said, it's really upsetting to me. And I said, could we do this? And every single Black person that comes in this place, welcome them and send them right into my section. Don't even think about going into any other section. I said, I want them. And I ended up having the fireplace location, which is section 4. And a couple Black people said to me, hey, it seems like you're only waiting on Black people. And I said, yeah, I want you. I want you here. I said, I want you. I want to wait on you. And I said, and they kind of got what I was saying. And, we got a big clientele. So when I left, it was around September, and I was invited back to the Christmas party, new guy that took over section 4. And I said, well, how is it here? Do you like it? He goes, yeah, I like it, but I got a lot of N's in my section. And I said, I did that.
Wow.
I said, I did that for you. Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's very shocking. It's, I mean, the race thing is so, I mean, I don't know why we should expect that, our community would be free of racism, because it's not, but it's weird because it strikes me as being particularly bad, in the LGBTQ community, especially with men. I don't see it as much with women. Maybe that's because there's fewer women, or the perception is there's fewer women. But I also think on another level that we're more likely to interact with each other, across racial divides or perceived racial divides than in the, non-queer community, in the
I don't know about that.
I don't know, because I think about my friends, and it's like, if you're at least, you have something in common, something big, which is that you're gay,
Yeah.
But I think women are more likely to interact than men. I think in any case, it's tragic, that we can't see that inequality in one place is inequality everywhere, and I think that is tragic. And I think it's, coming from a marginalized community, that it's extra important that we're sort of like on the front lines of recognizing that and changing it, because we're subject to it as well. And we know what it feels like, to be stigmatized, by the more, the hegemonic group, whoever that is, in this case, straight people or white people or whatever. And I mean, I have these, also, disclosure. I'm half Moroccan. My dad was Moroccan. And,
Oh my God, I'm talking to a Moroccan.
So sometimes I'll be like in the back. I remember when I didn't have a car, which was for 15 years. And so I would take Uber when it first started. And so many times I'd be in an Uber, and I mean so many times because it's bad. And like the driver would start talking to me about like some racist thing, and I'd sit in the back of the car and I'd be like, I wonder what he'd think if he knew X.
Yeah.
Like, would I be a white person to him? And, because I look like a white person pretty much until and then you start seeing stuff. But like, I can people are going to say things to me. And I remember saying this to one of my Black friends. I said something like, well, people will say X, Y, and Z. And he's like, oh, no, they won't. And I said to him, it was Bill Cradle. I said, Bill, they're not going to say it in front of you in an Uber.
Yeah.
But they're going to say it in front of me.
Yes.
They say it. I'm telling you. He's like, oh, I don't believe that. Bill's very positive about these things. He doesn't let lines of race separate him and his friends. He's a very eclectic person in terms of his friend group. But it took me, he didn't believe me, and I had to say to him, as disturbing as it is, Bill, they're not going to say it in front of you.
No,
it's in front of me because they don't know who I am. They have no idea. They're just looking at me,
You're part, it's inclusion. Like, you're part of us. I can say what I want.
Exactly.
You understand completely. And we're talking this language, coded or uncoded, and it's for us. It's our thing. I think I said that before too. Just like I've been with tons of white people, and all of a sudden it gets ugly and racist fast, and you're like, wait a minute, what happened?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm luckily I don't really interact in those circles in terms of my friend group. You know what I mean? I've never. I mean, of course, I know racism's out there, and I've seen some awful examples of it, but not in my friend group.
Sure.
I didn't grow up with anybody who would say the N-word. I didn't hear it till I went really hear somebody say it, like in front of me, until I went to college. I felt so sheltered. But I mean, it just wasn't something that my parents would have ever said, or my brothers or anybody I knew. But obviously it's rampant, and it's out there, and it that's a good example how you move away from your small little insular group and you learn about, unfortunately, what the world might be about, and it's not as pretty as you thought it was.
Yeah. I always said that my friend Mikey, who's a lot younger than me, I always said that the image that they portray about gay people on TV is so not correct, where, they make it like, hey, there's a multiracial group, and then all of a sudden gays are totally welcome and no one bats an eye. And there's tons of straight guys that would be horrified to be stuck in a room with a lot of gay men, and they're not comfortable, and it's obvious. And through the years, I haven't been invited to a lot of stuff, and and it's just that whole hetero thing. They don't bring the gay uncle or the the gay friend in it. They're just assumed that they're better off not included. I mean, it's a big generalization, but what they say on TV is, and what they're like, hey, the gay community, we're so integrated now into the straight community that it's not an issue anymore, and it is an issue. And I just said that whatever they're pumping out on TV, have your son work on this, that the multicultural vibe of friendship is that they show is just not accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think homophobia is still a major problem. I see it at work, I hate that I see it at work, but I do. And people like to pretend that it's not, that it's not going on, but it is. I think people just like to pretend.
Yes.
They like to believe that, oh, it's, you're just complaining now, that's not really an issue anymore. But that's just not true. I remember but talking about things that happened during the pandemic, like things that sort of blew up. During the pandemic, I almost never have had anybody say anything homophobic to me, to my face. I'm a lucky person, very lucky person. Almost never. And I went out with my friend Melanie to have dinner at Vagabonds. And it wasn't the pandemic. It was right after Trump got elected. And we sat down to have dinner, and these guys next to us, because it's a bar restaurant, they just started like, throwing like homophobic, nasty slurs at us. Like you carpet munchers here tonight or whatever, like the whole, and I didn't even know what to do. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I haven't, luckily in my life, I'm old, I really haven't had that happen to me. I've had somebody driving by in a car say something when I'm out with my girlfriend or something, but I haven't had someone sitting next to me, like feeling like they can just say these things. And it was really frightening. Like I was really unseated by it. And I guess I'm fortunate that I never have had that happen to me. Because, I guess I don't look particularly gay. You know what I mean? There's nothing about me that would tell you I was gay necessarily just by looking at me. I don't, so I guess I've never had to confront that before. But for some reason, I was sitting there with Mel, and they just felt the vibe of it. and just started, and nobody stopped them until one of the managers came over and asked them to be quiet. But he didn't apologize to us or anything. And I thought that was also scary. And that just felt like that whole Trump era feeling of people feeling like they had permission to say horrible things to other people, or be racist or be homophobic or be whatever, anti-liberal. Like liberals, you can just say horrible things to them and about them because they deserve it. I don't know. It definitely something that coincided with Trump era.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. And it's just, I mean, marketing wise, my parents are like, we live in one small town, and they're like, oh, you need to get over like homophobia. Like it's over with. And because they see it on TV, like, oh, that's that wacky neighbor, or, the girl's best friend, or whatever combination of whoever's gay on these shows. They're under the impression that everything's fixed. And I said, no, it's not fixed. It's not even close to being fixed. I said, and in some ways, I know by self-preservation, I just don't go into places or things, or I'm dealing with a lot of police officers right now, retired police officers, regular police officers. And I've heard them talk negatively about gay people, and then they found out that I was gay. And that, and I was like, oh, now they know. As opposed to, I don't talk to them. There's no reason to interact with them. There's nothing there's nothing that we can share together.
Right. Yeah. Every time I hear about it or see it, it shocks me. It's just, and I still know it's out there, but it still shocks me, but there it is. It's not over, and that's part of this problem with the lack of, wanting to be an activist, is a lot of people think, oh, that's all over. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Party time. When, we can look at the world again and see all these laws that are being proposed now and see that it can easily be taken away. Like What we have is not, it has to constantly be fought for. And I just think people don't want to do it. They just think you're being a naysayer about it, and that's a shame, because it can easily disappear.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't come to that. Like, I hope they don't have to find that out, but it can very easily disappear. And it has, I mean, for a lot of people, I look at abortion rights, and that makes me insane. That makes me nuts. I can't believe that we're where we are right now with it.
That's right.
I can't believe it.
It's amazing. It's some entity wants to own your reproductive rights, like something. It feels that that's better off than what your needs are.
I mean, to go backwards in time like this is just, it's just shocking, that we're literally going back in time.
Well, it's weird, like, because the conversation about the woke thing earlier is like, what's the ultimate goal? What are you guys trying to do? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what vision are you guys trying to get to, where you're banning books, your abortion is being removed? Where is this going to? When are you guys done? And what would it look like?
Yeah, I don't even want to know. I think I know what it would look like, actually.
Mo, I think
it would look like 1950s Christianity is what it would look like.
Oh, God. Everyone's back to being Catholic again.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that that's what it is, what they're expecting, because they don't like any of these changes that, make people point out that there's, things aren't equal. Like I said, they don't want to hear any of that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to keep what they have, while at the same time saying they don't have anything special.
Or they don't have enough.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to keep what they have.
We're at 3:20. I don't know how we got back to 12, but I guess it's because of all these wacky things, but we did it.
You did it. All right.
So
You want to meet tomorrow?
yeah. Yeah, we're gonna dive into the book.
Okay.
And I've been having such a blast with this. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm having fun too. I didn't anticipate it. Yeah. Yeah. I love talking about that book. I
Yeah.
really, it is, I am really proud of it. I often do. The real answer to your question was, yeah, I frequently read my stuff and hate it, but not that one yet.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it was a labor of love, because I knew most of the people I was writing about, which was also a very new thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not an easy thing at all. Very, very dangerous thing to do.
It's funny that if you went on Amazon, people would comment it very positively, and then there's this one who doesn't understand your viewpoint of how you're doing it. He goes, "Well, you missed the point here. You could have done this, this, and this." He goes, "I went into page 36 and I said I had enough." And
oh my God. It's funny because one of my friends read that. They're like, "You should take that off." And I said, "No, I shouldn't." Because it says so much more about him than me.
Oh yeah, it's obvious that he didn't know. Well, I was like, okay.
No, he just didn't like me. I don't even think he read the book. But one of my friends said, "It's really sad because it got so much better on page 31." Like that's and I laughed so hard and I said, "Thank you for that." Like that's exactly what I needed to hear right now.
Yeah, it cracked me up, and I was like, maybe it could be a litany of things. Sometimes when they write feedback, I click on them to see what other things that they're writing about. And someone who's negative is normally negative.
I know the person that wrote it.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And yeah, and again, it was a misogyny thing. He had a problem with me.
All right. Well, look, we're down to.
I still don't know what it was.
We're less than a minute, so
All right.
I'm gonna bring it up tomorrow.
All right, I'll see you. Bye.
All right, we'll see you. All right, bye-bye.
Here is a pianist whose keyboard always touches one's heart. Mr. Bobby Short.
Myrna, this song was written for your film, Love Me Tonight. And the lyricist for that film was Lawrence Hart. Larry Hart. I've never met you, yet never doubt, dear, I can't forget you. I've thought you out, dear. I know your profile, I know the way you kiss, just the things I miss on a night like this. If dreams are made of imagination, I'm not afraid of my own creation. With all my heart is here for you to take. Why should I quake? I'm not awake. Isn't it romantic? Is it a dream that can be heard? Isn't it romantic? Moving shadows right, the oldest magic word. I hear the breezes play in the trees above, while all the world is saying you were meant for love. Isn't it romantic? Merely to be young on such a night as this. Isn't it romantic? Every note that's sung is like a lover's kiss. Sweet cymbals in the moon breeze above. While all the world is saying you were meant for love, isn't romantic? Merely to be young on such a night as this, isn't it romantic? Every note that's sung is like a lover's kiss, sweet symbols in the moonlight. Do you mean I will fall in love by chance? Isn't it romantic?
Episode 12 is complete, and on deck is episode 13. Show us your shoes. End of episode.